Welcome back to another episode of season news and silly season, as per usual, every Wednesday, sometimes Thursdays. But anyway, let's jump into it. So, I made a mistake last week saying that there were 23. It was actually 24 races confirmed for the 2023 season. That was the mistake. But anyway, here you have the whole calendar, right? China, Las Vegas included. And this is more or less what it should look like. And there's also some news that there will be 6 and not only 3 sprint races, which for me is a big mistake because they are boring as F. There is nothing more annoying to see in F1 than drivers just driving around without even trying to overtake anybody. Sprint races are only good like if a Ferrari or a Red Bull have a penalty and they have to start at the back of the grid. You can actually see them overtake something to try to start a little bit more facing the forward part of the grid for the Sunday race, like Hamilton did in Brazil in 2021, for example, right? But if not these kind of reasons, they are very, very useless for me, and I think most of the people actually agree with me. I prefer to see a qualifying where the drivers are going at full speed rather than seeing a boring race of 20 laps, just everybody following each other. But anyway, the safetiness of a tight pit lane has been brought to the FIA. As we saw, for example, in Zandvoort, where the pit lane is really narrow, there are some risks when you have, for example, like Sainz, I think it was had another McLaren in front of him and he couldn't get out, and Alonso was coming from behind, and also we saw Perez almost running over the Ferrari mechanics. I mean, it was obvious that there was something there to be improved, right? Not just for Zandvoort, there are other pit lanes in the calendar as well that might be a little bit tight, and perhaps it should be widened. The issue is that, for example, in Zandvoort, you cannot widen the pit lane, right? The space is very narrow already. So, I don't know, drivers are apparently bringing this issue of safetiness to the FIA, so this can be studied for the future. Not a problem with the racetrack, but with the pit lanes. Alfa Romeo announced in August, at the end of August, that they are ending the contract or the sponsorship with Alfa Romeo at the end of 2023, as also was announced that Audi was coming in. They didn't announce yet that it's going to be with Sauber, but I mean, everybody knows that it's going to be with Sauber. It's just a matter of making it official. So what are their plans? The only option for them to stay in F1 would be either to make an alliance with a new team, which could be, for example, Andretti's plan to come into F1 in 2024 that other teams are rejecting, or to perhaps remain with an existing team like Haas, which would be the only other Ferrari-engined team in the grid, aside from Sauber, which I'm gonna guess they are going to continue with Ferrari until 2026. Perhaps they can rename the Ferrari engines in Haas as Alfa Romeo engines, which have happened in the past as well. Something like that. But anyway, they are not in a hurry. If it's not gonna be in F1, they can go to the WEC or to Formula E or something like this. They are still studying. They are not in a hurry. They are just making plans. They have new models, new cars, new markets to explore, so competition is just something else for them, not the priority. BMW is not interested in joining F1. We saw that Mercedes is in F1, Audi and Porsche are joining, and the only other big brand from Germany would be BMW, but they already said that they are not planning to join F1 in 2026. It's a huge investment that you need to make to start in F1, and getting it back might take a long time and success, which they are not willing to wait, especially when the market trend seems to be going into more hybrid or electric ways, right? So apparently they are not very interested for now. That's what they said. McLaren, as you can see, they will be using some cyberpunk or this kind of a future-ish to a livery to announce their partnership with the OKX for Cryptos in the Asian races of Singapore and Japan. Looks interesting. I don't know how it's gonna look on track, but I like this pinkish style, right? Mixed with the orange. Anyway, kind of interesting to see something like this in the grid. We saw that Tsunoda had been confirmed with Alpha Tauri for 2023. We still don't know who the teammate is gonna be for now. Gasly, unless mentioned anyways, it's confirmed to be by contract the driver for 2023 with Alpha Tauri. However, we know what's happening with Alpine, so perhaps Gasly might not be in Alpha Tauri for 2023. And we also saw that the other Asian driver, Zhou Guangyu, is confirmed by Alfa Romeo finally as a teammate of Valtteri Bottas for 2023. No speculations there, and I think everybody knew that these two drivers were kind of confirmed, especially to know that if Gasly leaves, they need someone with experience in Alpha Tauri to make the car go. So there's only 3 vacancies right now in F1 remaining. We have Alpine, we have Haas, and we have Williams. So what's happening? We already discussed about this. Alpine and Alpha Tauri are options for De Vries, not just Williams. They are very impressed with his performance, which, by the way, might have to race in Singapore once again to see if what happened in Monza was a mirage and not the real performance of Nick De Vries, which I think it was not a mirage, right? Even though Monza was perhaps a racetrack that favored the Williams car. And we also know now that Jack Doohan was in the Hungarian test that Alpine was running for the possible candidates, where De Vries was there, Doohan was there, right? We also know that Williams is also in discussions for Renault engines for the next season. They are cheaper and the performance is not that bad, especially since Mercedes being expensive, their performance went a little bit down, or it's not as strong as it used to be until this season, right? Mercedes was supposed to be the most powerful power unit, and now they are not even there. So there might be engine supplier switch in Williams, which would mean that if in Alpine Gasly arrives, for example, Doohan could be racing in Williams as an exchange to perhaps make power units cheaper or whatever. So we might see another Aussie on the grid next year after all. Let's remind that there's only 3 seats remaining in F1. Alpine, which apparently they want Gasly is the favorite. If not, they have many other options like Mick Schumacher, Jack Doohan, or Nick De Vries. Haas, which looks like Gunther Steiner doesn't want Mick Schumacher anymore. Looks like they're not happy with his attitude or something like this, or his performance, even though in the last few races Mick Schumacher has been out qualifying Kevin Magnussen in the races. So I don't know what else they want him to do, like win the championship with that car. Anyway, they want him to score more points, but the Haas is not in a position to score points anyway. So Mick Schumacher might also try to go into Williams. If that doesn't work, the main option would be Alpine, of course, and he has the okay of Esteban Ocon. And Williams, also being the last team, has just like the remainings, let's say, right? They have Alexander Albon confirmed, and they are waiting to see who is going to be with them for the next season. They have De Vries, they have Mick Schumacher, they have Doohan, they have Logan Sargent, perhaps. They could even race Drugovic, which I don't think so, since Drugovic was confirmed to be joining Aston Martin as a reserve driver. So, many things to happen yet, and November is far away, so let's see how everything develops. As per usual, take it easy and wait for you in the weekend, where finally, after the Russian Grand Prix is not in the calendar, we missed it this weekend, or the last weekend, we have Singapore coming up. Not very exciting Grand Prix, but it's a night Grand Prix. People like to watch it. It's exhausting for the drivers. Usually there's accidents, safety cars, which make it interesting. So stay tuned and see you on Friday with the preview.